Is up, everybody? It's Phil K. James. I am live today on the coldest day of the year in Des Moines, Iowa. It's ridiculously cold, and I'm actually going live from my mom's basement. Like, how stereotypical of an internet marketer is that? All right, so here I am. The internet's completely out of my house, and I'm going live right here with my guy Dashin Simmons, and I am going to bring him on here because he's popping all over the place. And here he is now. I want to introduce him. Doing some really cool stuff based out of North Carolina, but really he's global. And so I just wanted to introduce him to you, and I wanted to see if, want to see some secrets to how he's built his agency, and he's all over the place now. So Dashin, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Now we've been following each other for a while, and we kind of overlap, with a lot of the stuff that we do. Tell us a little bit about what you in your agency, what you do, and I know you have a students of your own now.
Yep. So of course, like a lot of guys here, I have an agency. I've been doing it for about 1.5 years now, and I'm actually starting to transition more to focusing on having like a bot agency, because I see a big need in the market for people who know that bots work, but they don't know how to necessarily make bots work. So I'm trying to fill that need and not necessarily service like restaurants and realtors and things like that, but service other digital marketers.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm. And how'd you get your start? Like, you said so you're originally from South Carolina, right?
Yep.
And so how'd you get your start in digital stuff?
All right. So, I mean, I've always been like that kid who was good with technology, so I kind of grew up with that. And very young on, I say about from the age of 13, I was big into like graphic design. And then I picked up web design. I moved to North Carolina after I graduated because of a crazy situation. And I went to school for about a semester, learned some more about graphic design, learned some more about web design. And, I got better on my own. Then fast forward, I met a guy at the gas station that works next to me. By this time, I was in business myself, and I was building websites for people and doing graphic design for people. And I met this guy, and he was talking about Tai Lopez. And somehow me and this guy, like, because I was like listening to a lot of Tai Lopez's stuff at the time. I don't really listen to his stuff as much anymore, but I was listening to a lot of his stuff, so we kind of clicked early on. And I told him about what I did. He told me that he was getting ready to start an agency. At the time, I was I was going from job to job. I probably had like 7 jobs that year, and every job was a sales job. So he was like, "Why don't we just team up? I'll do the marketing stuff. You can do the web design stuff, the graphic design stuff, and the sales stuff, and then we'll just go from there." So we teamed up for like a month straight. We just worked on this thing nonstop. Then we went and landed our first client, and then he completely disappeared on me. The guy stopped working at the gas station, like completely disappeared from the face of the earth. So we had a client, and it was from a personal relationship. So I didn't want to, ruin that relationship and not get that client results. So like I was horrified because I didn't know anything about online marketing. I knew about sales, graphic design, web design, that kind of stuff. But then it forced me to go and buy Russell Brunson's course. So I bought that. I studied that for like 2 weeks straight. And the last 2 weeks of the month, I killed it for them. And I was like, I really like this. And so I started learning more and more about it. And that's where we are now.
So that's a very important point that a lot of people miss out on. And what happened was you had some initial success. It faded because somebody screwed you over, but you, instead of just sort of like, going back to the same client and saying, I'm sorry, you actually got off your ass, bought a course, paid money, and like amazing. Like,
actually borrowed.
What's that?
I actually borrowed money. I had to borrow $2,000 from my mom.
See, there you go. I mean, that's even tougher, right? And I'm sure you paid her back like right away because you got your So that's amazing. It's an amazing lesson. It's like, you notice your mistake, you notice where your weakness was, and you went right after it, right?
Exactly.
It's a good lesson in there, right?
Yep.
So what sorts of things, if I'm looking to start an agency myself, and I'm actually looking to kind of take those first steps, what would be your number one or number two sort of tips that you would give people?
So the common mistake that I see a lot of people make is, they go straight into like LinkedIn automation and like trying to run ads to get clients and stuff like that. And with people that I coach, the first thing I tell them to do is to look at people that they already know. So my first clients came from my personal relationships and the relationships of other people, right? So in my very first month, I ended up with 4 clients. And one client was my friend's dad. And what I did was I incentivized my friend by paying him some money to refer his dad to me because he had just opened up a car dealership. Another one of my first clients was my mom, because my mom actually owns a restaurant. So that was like a no-brainer for me. Third client was my previous boss, because I had worked in restaurants for a long time. My fourth client came from my mother-in-law's friend. Her friend owned a restaurant. So they ended up becoming my client, and all 4 of those people are still my clients today. So
that's awesome.
what I want people to do is, the first thing is to just look at the people and I learned this from my time in network marketing. I wasn't very successful in network marketing, but I was involved with a company called ACN. And one of the first things that they said to do was to make a list of 100 people and just call everyone on that list to see if you can either get them to become a customer or have them refer someone else to become a customer. So I did that same exact thing. I literally called every single person in my phone, and I either tried to get them to become a client or get them to incentivize someone to become a client, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's the first thing that I tell people to do, is just look at the people around you. Like, go to networking events, actually meet people face to face, because this industry is becoming super saturated, right? Everyone's taking the same courses and stuff like that, and sending out the same scripted messages, and all sounding like robots. You know what I mean? And people pick up on that stuff very quickly. So you can really have a competitive advantage by being belly to people and leveraging relationships.
Belly. That's the Dashins way of doing things. I love it. So okay, so let's take that a step further. So you said you didn't do any sort of cold outreach at all. You didn't reach out to people and say, I got I got this thing and I think it'd be cool for you. You didn't do any type of do you still do any cold outreach? Do you do cold outreach at all now?
No, all of my business now comes from referrals. So I'm still leveraging relationships. I go to networking events, and that's where the chatbots come into play, because I have I take this badge with me with a scan code on it. So I go and I meet people, I get them to scan that code and try to get them to become a client or either refer someone to me.
You probably never even use business cards.
I literally, I don't know where they are. I think my wife just threw them away, but I got 500 cards printed from Vistaprint, and I didn't use a single one.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So now back up just a second. So when you had your first client, what sort of things were you doing? Were you doing bots when you first started?
No, when I first started, because Russell
Brunson's running, plus the website and all that stuff.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So Russell Brunson's course, right? We didn't teach anything about chatbots or nothing like that. It was ClickFunnels, landing pages, Facebook ads, stuff like that. So in the beginning, I was doing that stuff. It was when it was probably my 3rd month with my mom as a client. I think that because remember, Facebook got rid of chatbots for a little bit, and then they brought them back.
Right, back in March.
Yeah, I had a buddy tell me about chatbots, and I was super interested in it. So it just made sense to me. It made me think about first there was direct mail, and then there was email marketing, and I just figured that this was the next thing. So I just dove in it, and then I started integrating chatbots with all of my clients, and I started getting better results. So that's how.
Yeah, where I first noticed you, when I realized that you were doing similar things to me with with contests and things like that for restaurants. And you absolutely had one that absolutely crushed it. Now, what are you doing now that's a little bit different with bots than you were doing before? Like before, it was like contests and things like that. But you branched out quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. So what am I doing for my clients, or what am I doing?
Well, what do you what are you doing for your clients to anything different within the bot world that you've noticed? Like what are the one or two things you've learned in the last couple of months that have absolutely that have turned things around for you? Didn't turn them around, it accelerated things for you, put it that way.
Yeah. So I basically do the same thing. It's still like contests and giveaways. Mm-hmm. I think it's Warren Buffett who says the ant goes where the sugar lies. So like you have to incentivize people to actually take action. So it's usually just like a free appetizer or free dessert or something like that. One of the things that I do more of is actually following up with people. In the beginning, I did a horrible job with following up. So I would get all these people, and then like every month I was just trying to get more and more and more people. But then there comes to a point where it doesn't grow as fast. So like I started nurturing those people more and more. Another big trick that helps me a lot that goes back to the scan code. What we do now for all of my clients is if they have Wi-Fi, we put like a little coaster on each table. And then we tell them, if you want the Wi-Fi password, scan the code and it'll give you the password. So not only are we're getting customers from Facebook ads, but we're getting subscribers from people actually scanning these badges, or not the badges, but the coasters.
Yeah. Oh, they actually have them on coasters. That's awesome. Yeah. I got some that are on little cards that go in the check presenters. Mm-hmm. I do that plus table tents, but the coasters, you can't avoid that.
No, they work 100%.
All right. Cool. All right. So just want to know if, since we have a lot of entrepreneurs that watch and pay attention, what sorts of things would you recommend if, I know we already talked about like just getting going and that sort of thing, but what are the sorts of things that people can do to change the way they're thinking? As what I noticed in my group in particular, we get a lot of people that are just, afraid to take those next steps. Like, what was it about you that allowed you to kind of go out, get found, get noticed, and actually, turn things up a little bit?
Yeah. So something that I kind of tell people when I'm coaching them is that it's not really the tangibles that make all the difference. It's the intangibles, like being able to manage like fear. Because the thing that I noticed the most is that people have a hard time getting started because of fear, either of the fear of unknown or the fear of other people's opinions. But I kind of became numb to opinions from actually doing and then like failing over and over and over. Literally, since I was like 8 years old, I've tried business after business after business. At one point, me and my mom left the country selling marshmallow guns. And like
that's awesome.
So I
kind of want one right now.
They're pretty cool.
It'd be good for like a cold day. I could shoot one in a mug of hot cocoa, something across the room.
I'll send you some stuff on how to make that. Right. But yeah, we did that, and like I've done so many things, like t-shirt business, like I've done everything, and like I've failed publicly over and over and over and over, and so I kind of just became numb to other people's opinions. So like back to it being like the intangibles that make all the difference. You have to, in the beginning, like you have to just focus on one thing and have conviction about that one thing. Because like in this space, I see a lot of people, 1 second they'll have an agency, the next second they'll be in e-commerce, the next minute they'll be in network marketing and something else and something else. And so like the big thing is to just focus on one thing, actually get started. Don't be afraid to fail. Actually fail over and over and over and over again. And then you kind of get like this superpower. It's like you don't care about opinions, you don't care about failure, you don't care about none of that stuff. And so you're actually able to focus more on the things that are important, and you can just smash those things. Those things
I mean, restaurants might not be somebody's bread and butter, right? I mean, you get somebody, I've noticed that there are people that originally started off in my group, and we would talk about restaurants, and they just it wasn't clicking with them until they figured out that they were much better at SEO, or somebody that's it's absolutely crushing with real estate now. And the reason is, marketing for real estate. The reason is the passion or the interest just wasn't there for whatever reason, for whatever niche people are doing. So the fact that you actually tried and did things over and over and over again, you tried different businesses, and you were able to knock, without really giving up and just say, okay, well, maybe that just wasn't my thing. And now it is, right? Now you figured out that, like, bots and coaching are your thing.
Yeah, and I've noticed like a common thing with myself is like bots were brought to me by someone else. Marketing was brought to me by someone else. So like you have to kind of be open to other opportunities.
Right.
And then another reason that I kind of did restaurants was because that was kind of true to myself, because my mom owned a restaurant. I worked in a restaurant. I was like 15 to like 21. So like that was something that I knew, and it just kind of came natural to me. So
right, you can speak their language like right away, right?
Exactly.
So, so what's next? What do you got? What else you got planned? You're always dropping stuff. Like where? I guess first of all, before we drop off, like what and where can people find you, and what sort of what sort of thing can you do to get people into your universe?
Yeah, so if you just go to my profile, you tag me. So just go to my page. I actually have on my page, you can get a couple of my templates. It's I think it's like real estate, restaurant template, car dealership, dentist, chiropractors, like 6 of them. So you can go to my page and get that if you like.
Yeah, just drop that in the comments later, will you? And we'll make sure people see those.
Okay.
All right, cool. Well, Dashin, it was a pleasure getting to meet you finally.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that I got your name right.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't do a lot of, you don't see me live a lot because I feel like lives kind of waste time, but like you're somebody that I really respect, that I've really gotten a lot of value from. So like when you asked me, I was like, heck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to have you. It was great getting to know you. And if you ever want to promote something coming up, feel free to drop that in the group. I'm sure people always get value out of the stuff that you do. So
yeah, for sure, I appreciate it. So one thing that I'm kind of working on, this is like a 2-year thing out, and you're the first person I'm telling, is I'm kind of working on my own ManyChat. Because
is that right?
Yeah, like recently I've been having a ridiculous amount of issues with ManyChat. Number one.
Yeah.
2, I had a talk with this guy who was on elevator pitch. And, he got like $250,000 investment, and him and I got on the phone. He gave me a lot of good advice, and he was like, "Well, what do you do if you have all these clients and ManyChat just disappears?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." So it got me into thinking about building my own. So I have.
Yeah, there was a really interesting discussion in my group the other day in the Milkshake group about that. Like, about people thinking about, what's going to happen if ManyChat goes away.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we tend to be at the whims of these platforms, and the only real constant to any of this stuff is email. And we all know what's happening to email, and we all know why bots are so popular and why they get so much attention. It's because they get tons of attention like now, but like what's gonna happen a year from now when Facebook decides that Instagram chat is more important to them, and what if they I mean they could drop it right now, and I don't think ManyChat is prepared for that. That's what scares me. So
yeah, and it can happen. The thing is, like, the whole bot stuff is not just about Facebook Messenger. Like, there are other type of bots. There are like Alexa bots. Like there are WhatsApp bots. Like there are all kind of bots. So don't necessarily get caught up in like just Facebook Messenger. Like start to prepare yourself for if Facebook Messenger goes away, and that's something that I'm starting to do myself.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing I preach to all my clients is building assets just in case. Building digital assets is email is still valuable. It is as old as that sounds. I mean, like 10% opt-in is still 200 people on 2000, so
Right.
Anyway, build those assets, and if you're smart like Dashin, like actually go and build your own ManyChat, right? So all right, man. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, and like you said, drop a link down there, and if anybody can wants to contact you, we'll just point them there.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, yeah, you too. Yeah, you too. Take care.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.